Hello everyone, this is a continuation of my previous tutorial on files. Here we will see the inbuilt file handling functions rewind, fseek, ftell, feof, fread and fwrite. Rewind function. Rewind function is used for making the pointer point to the beginning of the file. So it will rewind to the beginning of the file. The syntax is void rewind file star file pointer. Only file pointer is the parameter. We just have to write rewind file pointer to move to the beginning of the file. Its return type is void. Feof function. It is used for finding out the end of file. The format is int feof file star file pointer. Here also the parameter is file pointer and its return type is an integer value, that is it will return a non-zero value if end of file, otherwise it will return 0. Fseek function. As the name implies, the fseek function is used for seeking to different portion of the file. That is, it is used to set the file pointer to any offset with reference to the current position, beginning of file or end of the file. Its format is int fseek file star file pointer long int offset int whence. File pointer is a pointer to the file and offset is the number of positions to move from the value of whence, and whence determines the reference point from which the seeking is done. The reference point can be the beginning of the file, for which we can write 0 or seek set. It can be the current position. For representing the current position, the value is 1, or we can write seek cur. Third one is end of file. If the reference point is end of file, we can write 2 or seek end. The fseek function is used for the random access of data from the files. The other file handling functions are fwrite and fread function. Fwrite function. It is used for writing binary data to a file. It writes data in files in the same format it is written to a memory location. That is the major difference between fwrite function and normal printf functions. Its syntax is size t fwrite const void ptr size t size t count file star file pointer. The parameters are ptr, which is a pointer to a memory block. Second one is size. Size refers to the number of bytes of each item, or the size of each items. Count is the count of items, or the number of items. fp is the pointer to the file. We will understand the usage of these parameters with the examples. Its return type is, the function's return type is size t, that is, it returns the count of successful writes. Fread function. It is used for reading binary data from a file. The format is similar to that of fwrite. It has a pointer as parameter, size, count and the file pointer. These are the same as that of fwrite function. Its return type is size t itself, and it returns the number of successful reads. So these two functions we will be studying with the examples in detail. Then you will understand more about the parameters and their usage. This example shows the usage of the three functions fseek, rewind and feof. For that I am using a file pointer fp to point to the file address.txt. The content of the file is like this. I am using a buffer my data of 50 for reading the data from the file. The file is first opened using the fopen function in read mode. Next I am printing the content of the file, and for printing I am first reading the data using fgetters that we have discussed in the previous tutorial, and to read the data till the end of file I am using the function feof of fp. So while not feof of fp will become true when it reaches the end of file. So the data till the end of file are read using fgetters and printed at the same time. So the result of this area is this much. After that I have to rewind to the beginning of the file, because after executing this the file pointer is at the end of file. So I have to rewind back to the beginning to again take the values. So I am using the function rewind of fp. So rewind of fp will make the pointer point to the beginning of the file, that is to s. It will point to s. So using the same set of codes I am printing the data again to check whether the rewind operation happened. So you can see while executing this much is printed, that is the same data is read and printed. That means the pointer has gone to the beginning and read all the data using fgetters and printed the data till the end of file. Now if I want to randomly access some of the points in the file, so in this case I am going to access the point k in the file. So I am going to find the beginning of Kerala, that is k. So for that I am using the fseek function. The fseek function format is like this. First we have to specify the file pointer, next the offset from the position, reference point. So reference point I am taking 1 stands for the current position. So after execution of the previous commands the file pointer is at the end. So the current position refers to the end of file itself. So we can use either 1 or 2. 2 stands for the end of file. And I am going to move back 6 position, 1 2 3 4 5 6 to go to k. That's why I have used the parameter as -6. So -6 will seek to 6 position backward. So I can use the fseek in this way, or I can go back to the beginning and count forward how many positions are required to reach k, and I can use that much positive value here. So suppose the count is equal to 25 to reach Kerala, the beginning of Kerala. I will write here like fseek fp comma 25 comma 0. That means from the beginning move 25 position forward. So I am printing the data using the same set of codes, the while loop. So after this, after executing this will print only Kerala, that is starting from K and printing up to the end of file. So it will print Kerala. So you can see here it is used for randomly accessing some positions in the file. This is an example of fwrite and fread functions to write a variable to the file and read a variable from the file. I am initializing two character variables x and y, and these values will be returned to the file. The file pointer is fp and a buffer is used for reading purpose. The file is first opened in W+ mode, that is read and write mode, and we are going to write the content using fwrite function. The first parameter of fwrite function is $x, that is a pointer to the value a, that is the pointer to the content of the variable x. Second part is size of x, that is the amount of data that we are going to write. We are going to write only a single data of size of that of character, that is only 1 byte we are going to write. That's why the count is equal to 1. Last parameter is fp. In a similar way, we will be writing the value of y, the pointer to the variable y, size of y. We can also write here like 1 because we are going to use only 1 byte. Y and x are characters, so it will take only 1 byte. If it was an integer type, we can write size of int, size of that variable name, or 4. Then there is only 1 byte of data because y is having only a single character value, and this is a file pointer. So these two functions will write the value a and b to the file, and I am using the fseek function to move the file pointer to the beginning of the file. The parameters of fseek are fp file pointer 0, 0. 0, 0 means the reference point is 0 and the offset is also equal to 0. So it will be moving to the beginning itself. Then to read using fread, the first parameter is buffer. As buffer is a array, the name of the array will point to the first element of the array. Second part is size of char, because we are reading the characters from the file, we are taking the size of char. So we have written 2 characters to the file. So in order to read the 2 characters, we have to specify the count as 2. We have written from 2 individual characters, but we are reading back to a single buffer. So the count is equal to 2 here. And last part is a file pointer, and after reading, buff0 will be having the first value that we have written, that is a, and buff1 will have the second value, that is b. So it will display, when we try to print, it will display a and b on the console, and at the end we'll be closing using fclose fp. Next is an example of writing an integer array to a file using fwrite and reading the same using fread. So here also the fp is the file pointer. My array is named as my array, having three values 50, 25 and 63. A buffer is used for reading the data back. So we'll be reading back to the buffer, similar to the previous case. First time I'm opening the file using the fopen function in read and write mode. To write the contents using fwrite, I need to specify the address of the first location of the memory block from which we are writing. The memory block is that of an array, so the address of the first element is same as the array name. So my array. We can also write ampersand my array of 0 to point to the first element. So it will point to 50. And next I am writing size of my array. Size of my array means the total size of the array. Here the total size of the array is 4 plus 4 plus 4. As the array is integer type, each element will be taking 4 bytes for storage. So the total will be equal to 12 bytes. And we have a single set of this 12 bytes. That's why it is 1 here. The count is 1. If we want to individually write these three elements, we will write here, instead of size of my array, we will write size of int, or we can also write for there, comma 3. After writing the contents, I have to go back to the beginning, that is I have to point to the beginning of the file using fseek function. So I am using the fseek function to go back to the beginning. I can also use the rewind function simply. Rewind of fp is having the same effect. Then I am reading using fread. For reading, I have to first specify the memory block to which I am reading the data from the file. So the name of the array points to the first element of array. So ampersand buff of 0 is same as buff. Next I am reading it individually. I am planning to read individual elements of the array. That's why I have written size of int. So if I want to take only the first two elements, I will write 2 here. If I want to take all the 3 elements, I can write 3, but just to show you can read only 2 elements, I am writing 2 here. And fp, that is 2 integer data will be taken to buff from the text file. That means it will read 50 and 25 to buff of 0 and buff of 1. So I have printed 3 values, buff 0, buff 1 and buff 2, but only the first 2 will have the correct value, because buff 2 to buff 2 nothing is read from the file. So it may display a 0 or a garbage value. Next again I am going back to the beginning using fseek function, and in a different way I am reading the values of the array. Here I am reading the complete elements of the array using size of my array. The second part is not size of int, here it is size of my array, that is read 12 bytes and it is only a single set of 12 bytes. That is all the 3 elements will be read in this case. all the three elements will be read to buff0, buff1 and buff2. So it will display these three values will be displayed 50, 25 and 63. And after all the operations, I'm closing the file using fclose fp. This shows the usage of fwrite and fread for writing a structure to a file and reading that structure. The file pointer is fp and I am declaring a structure named student with two contents, role and name. One is integer and other is a character array. Two variables myStruct and buffStruct are defined as struct student type. So these are the two structures, and I am going to write some values to myStruct. myStruct is used for writing the content and buffStruct will be used for reading the content. Both are of struct type. That means we are writing from a structure and reading to a structure. The values are myStruct.role is equal to 10 and copying the name npr to myStruct.name. Next I am opening the data file in read and write mode. To write the content, we have to point to the memory block from which we are writing. We are going to write from this memory block, myStruct memory block. So the beginning of the myStruct is represented by ampersand myStruct. That is, it will point to the address of the myStruct structure area. Then next part is size of myStruct. That is, we are writing the structure completely and there is only a single structure. We are going to write only a single structure. So this size of myStruct actually will return the total size of this structure, that is integer 4 bytes and character array 15 bytes. So a total of 19 bytes. And this is a file pointer of that file. And to check whether it is properly written, I am going back to the beginning of the file and reading using fread, reading the structure using fread. I am planning to read it to buffStruct of the same structure type variable. So the beginning of the memory block is ampersand buffStruct. The size of the things that I am going to read is that of the myStruct. So size of myStruct is taken and only one structure will be read now. This is a file pointer. So this will read the entire content to buffStruct. That means buffStruct.role will be equal to 10 and buffStruct name will be equal to npr. So we are going to print these two values to check it is correct or not. So it is properly printed, the roll number and the name. At the end we'll be closing the file using fclose fp.